So my name is Kat Putmeyer. I'm the Executive Director at the Cincinnati Community Tool Bank. We opened in 2012. Since I know you guys are all volunteers in capacity as consulting, how many of you guys have ever volunteered on a service project ever? How many of you guys have ever either experienced or witnessed someone standing around because there wasn't enough tools for everyone? Yeah. And so the Cincinnati Tool Bank exists to make sure that that doesn't happen. So our mission is to serve our community organizations by providing tools, equipment, and expertise so that they can reach their most ambitious goals. And our vision is to equip all greater Cincinnati nonprofits with blue tools for change. So when I say tools and equipment, this is that we have over 250 different types of tools in our warehouse. Everything from work gloves, pitchforks to, I think, some of the most popular equipment that I don't think we necessarily envisioned being in such high demand at the beginning was tables and chairs, projectors, pop-up tents, PA systems, microphones, things of that nature that organizations really need to share their mission with the community but don't always have access to. So the whole idea is to really increase your volunteer capacity, to make use of these passionate members in our community that really want to do great work. You can say yes to them without having to worry about spending a whole lot of extra money or trying to find enough rakes for a whole group of people to come and spread mulch, and that you need landscaping done for your organization. Some of the things that people use or organizations use our tools for: facility maintenance, neighborhood cleanups, playground builds, community gardens, green space, tree planting. Lots of different kinds of projects can be done with ToolBank tools. So I wanted to kind of go over how does this work. So as you're talking to your nonprofit clients or that you're consulting with, so we are a membership-only organization, and this is actually a change. We are instituting a membership fee, which I'll get into a little bit later, but it's really easy to join. So all you do is complete an online application, tell us a little bit about your organization, your mission, what you anticipate you'll use the tools for, and then return the membership agreement and proof of charitable status. So you don't have to be a 501c3 to join the Tool Bank. If you have if you're a community organization, for instance, and you have minutes, list of officers, we're really just trying to prove your charitable intent. The whole goal is to get these tools out into the community. We're just trying to make sure that people aren't using them for their own personal gain. So our membership fees are really, really low. So the most that you're going to pay is $100 a month, and that's if your budget is $750,000 or above.
A year. 100 a month or 100 a year?
A year.
Yeah.
So up to $100,000, it's $10 for the year. So, and then the tools are also incredibly cheap. So I like to use the example: if you have 100 volunteers and you're going to plant trees, say you need 100 shovels. So you can either go out and buy 100 shovels for $15 a piece and spend $1,500 for those shovels, or you can borrow them from the Tool Bank for $45 for the week. So we charge 3% of the retail value of the tool for a week. And you can borrow tools for up to 8 weeks without having to bring them back. We do charge a late fee. If you don't return the tools on time, then it's 6% of the retail value. We also will charge a replacement fee if the tool is either broken when it's not being used for its intended purpose. The example I like to use is like if you're using a dirt tamper as a pry bar, which has happened, and you bring it back and it's snapped in half, that is clearly not the intended use for the tool. But if you bring back all the pieces, there's normal wear and tear. We're trying to just really make this easy for nonprofits and risk-free. So why does this matter? So all of this money that they would have spent to do these projects, either the project wouldn't have happened, or we're helping them put money back into their mission to really make the best use of their resources. Maximizing skilled volunteers. If you have volunteers that have a skill set and you want to bring them in, not having them either have to find or borrow those tools from somewhere else, like a chop saw, if you have some renovations you want to have done. It's a really valuable resource for nonprofits. And then storing and maintaining the tools. So yeah, it's great if you're going to have this great big project, but what do you do with the tools after you're done? You don't need them every single day. So not every organization needs 1,000 shovels, but we have over 1,000 shovels in our inventory. And then, making the most of each and every tool. So we're using these tools over and over again. And so this case study is just one example of, the PTA has the funds, they have the volunteers, they've raised the money for the playground, and instead of paying $7,000 to borrow the tools that you need to put it in those volunteers' hands to get this thing built, it's going to cost you $216. So the Cincinnati ToolBank has allowed a lot of organizations to really grow their large-scale volunteer events. So this year we partnered with Habitat for Humanity to really take their Rock the Block event to the next level. So we had a trailer full of tools helping them equip, I think it was close to like 350 volunteers in one day, and they really made a huge impact in the Laughlin community. It also provides opportunities to engage your community in longer term. So this Community Matters in the Sassafras Gardens was actually a project that for the Reds Community Fund, and OneSource was also a part of this. So they built this garden in a day, and they continue to borrow tools to continue to engage their community, to learn more about their food and how important it is to really understand where it comes from, and then also, to really build your community. Now people are talking and having conversations that wouldn't have necessarily done that before. And so we are also coming up on our 7-year anniversary in July. We will have been open for 7 years, and we've served 362 nonprofits. They have borrowed $6.4 million worth of tools in that time, and equipped over 218,000 volunteers. So that savings, the value of the social capital, and how that is decided is we average that a volunteer will spend 4 hours, and that the value of the volunteer hour is close to around $22 an hour. So all of those volunteers have the value of that is over $20 million. So that is quite an impact in our community that otherwise would have cost either not happened or cost organizations a lot more. So how can you guys support us? We are still the best, like one of the best kept secrets in Cincinnati. So we have served a total of 360 nonprofits. There's over 5,000 nonprofits in the greater Cincinnati and Kentucky area. So we're really, we started as a one-person operation. So right before I lost my mind, we hired another person. And now we have a staff of 3 full-time people. So we're really kind of hoping to, kind of take this idea and really get the word out. So that is really one of the biggest things that you can do. And that is my child that was also born the same year that the ToolBank was. Follow us on social media. If you would like to volunteer with us, we would love to have you. And if any of the organizations you're working with or anyone that you know has a desire to volunteer with us, we would love to have you. And then we launched our first individual giving campaign this year. So we are kind of trying to diversify our funding sources and really just strengthen the organization. Any questions? Yes.
What are your funding sources?
So I write grants. We have 3 special events. So when we started, it was very largely concentrated in foundation grant funding. Now that only makes up about 30% of our income, and then the special events is another 30%, and the tool handling fees is around 30% as well.
And what are the special events? I'm sorry.
We do banking on our community and building on our community, which are volunteer projects that we lead, and then corporate sponsors put in. It's like $1,000 to $2,000, and then we plan the event and facilitate all of that, to breakfast and everything. So and then Hammers and Ales is just kind of the fun one, where the whole community gets to come in and learn more about the organization, and it's at Mad Tree, and people dress up because it's at Halloween, and it's just a really fun time. I'm biased, but yes.
How do you guys acquire the tools that you get?
So we're part of a national organization. So when we started, we purchased about, I want to say 60% of the tools brand new when we opened in 2012. We have partnerships with Stanley Black & Decker, which is DeWalt, Little Giant Ladders, and various like Hilti and some other tool manufacturers. And then our community is pretty amazing. Crossroads donated all of their tools that they had for Go Local or Go Cincinnati to us in 2012. Cincinnati Parks had a huge inventory of tools that they used for large-scale volunteer events, but they didn't have the capacity to really lend those out to organizations when they weren't using them, so they donated all of those to us. The United Way and P&G and the Reds Community Fund donated another like $20,000.